Good evening. Welcome everyone to tonight's webinar with Healthy Planet. We are Smart Solutions, so we're going to be chatting all things women's health tonight. So I hope you're ready for a great discussion, and if you have questions or any burning ideas that have been rattling around in your mind, feel free to share them with us. We're going to have a really good time tonight, and I know we do have quite a few people that are going to be joining the call. I think we had almost 600 registrants, and usually we have about half of that tune in live. But I want to be really cognizant of everyone's time and the fact that we only have an hour. So with that said, I am going to get started. I do believe that Healthy Planet typically records these. So I'll make sure this is being recorded. Yep, it is being recorded. And I believe they usually send out the recording the following day. So it should be in your inbox tomorrow. Okay, so let's just go ahead and get into this here. I'm going to make sure we've got everything set up. It looks like we are good. And on the call with us this evening is Dr. Filzaswala. She is one of our lead educators as well as a naturopathic doctor with the Smart Solutions brand. And it's really wonderful that she's on the call with us. She'll be able to help answer some questions as they're coming in either through the chat box or through the Q&A function. So please, although I will be rattling off a lot of information, feel free to use that function. We're really glad to have you here with us. Thank you so much, Filza. All right, so if we have not met yet, if we have not been on a webinar call together before, my name is Jeanette Bell. I am a certified nutritional practitioner, and I work out of Ontario now. I used to be in the West Coast. Now I'm further east in Ontario, and I love chatting about women's health. I typically specialize in digestive health, and we know there's such a strong correlation between what's going on with our digestive system and what's going on with our hormones. Oftentimes, when I'm working with clients, there's a lot of correlations there. And if we're going to start with something, we were typically going to start with addressing the symptoms, which is what we're going to be covering today, and also really focusing on optimizing digestive health. So if you want to learn more about us, please follow us on social media. Instagram for Smart Solutions is at Smart Solutions CA. And myself, you can find me at Jeanette Mary _. So with that, let's go ahead and get into talking all about hormones, because hormone health, we know, can be so confusing. There's so many questions that we ask ourselves on a daily basis. Should I be eating this? Am I stressed? Why is my period not coming when it should? Why do I get period cramps every month? And what supplements should I be taking? I'm sure all of us on this call have been in a Healthy Planet once or twice, and it's like information overload. There's so much out there. And in a world where practically every news platform and social media covering the topic of health and wellness, we are often left with so much information that it becomes almost impossible to actually make an informed decision about what our body truly needs to support its hormone health. Now, all of us on the call tonight, we are all at different hormone stages in our life, meaning that we all have different needs for support. Whether it's our body trying to support its functioning and having regular periods, or perhaps we're preparing for pregnancy, to the changes that our bodies go through during perimenopause, right into menopause. All of these stages, we want to feel vibrant and energized, and we want to be able to show up for our friends and family, and most importantly, for ourselves. Okay, so I just want to share a case study with you here. So meet Stacy. She has a wonderful life with her partner and 2 kids. She enjoys taking her kids out for hikes on the weekends and watching them play sports. And she always feels like she's in the car, just shuttling them from one venue to another. I'm sure a lot of us with back to school right now, we are feeling this. She spends a lot of time with her girlfriends on weekends, having fun, experiencing new adventures. And Stacy is also a fierce businesswoman. She's an entrepreneur with a busy store that allows her to fuel her passion for fashion. It seems like, she really has the perfect life. Unfortunately, like so many of us, Stacy does not feel like herself. She's been feeling off for a while, and she's been feeling more tired on and off, as well as getting headaches more often. She's been having a hard time falling asleep, and her period has been irregular, or so she thinks. So many women experience these vague feelings throughout life: fatigue, poor sleep, headaches, and maybe even weight gain and digestive issues sporadically. Is it just a phase? Is it something you're eating? Is it hormones? Let's take a closer look. So welcome. We are going to spend the next hour talking about how you can take control of your health and become a better, healthier version of you. We're going to cut the jargon and really get straight to the point and hopefully leave you with the knowledge and know-how so that you can make changes immediately and start feeling healthier sooner rather than later. Okay, so we're going to just start with the groundwork here. We want to, first of all, ensure everyone on the call tonight has a really strong understanding of what hormones are and what they do in the body. Now, hormones, very simply put, are chemicals that carry messages from the glands where they are produced through the bloodstream to the cells in our tissues or organs throughout the body. So they are our chemical messengers, essentially. They're like the Amazon delivery drivers or the FedEx delivery drivers. Now, we have hormone receptors, essentially all of these ports all over our body to receive these important messages. Now, these special messengers control the majority of our body functions, from our basic primary needs like hunger to our more complex systems and functions like our emotions and reproduction. Our hormones have a powerful effect on us. I'm sure we've all felt this before, dictating how we feel, what our energy levels are, how our metabolism functions, and so much more. Now, our hormones are responsible for growth and development, metabolism, sexual function, reproduction, and mood. There are many organs and glands responsible for supporting hormones, including those that receive hormone messages and support hormone function. Now, this is the manufacturing, delivery, and conversion of hormones, as well as detoxification of hormones. Without our hormones, our body simply would not function properly. Okay, so let's take a quick look at the importance of the glands associated with our hormones. So if you've attended one of our talks before, we focus quite a bit on the adrenal glands. Now, the adrenal glands, these sit just above our kidneys, and they are responsible for producing cortisol, which is one of our stress hormones. It's also an energy-giving hormone. Cortisol is what we want to actually rise in the morning to help us get that get up and go energy. Now, the thyroid produces T4 and calcitonin and is associated with TSH, our thyroid stimulating hormone, and T3 from other organs. The liver supports many hormone-related functions, including the manufacturing of cholesterol and the conversion of hormones to other types of hormones and hormone detoxification. That's a really important organ, and we are going to focus on that one tonight a little bit more heavily. The gut is also involved in hormone conversion and detoxification, and the ovaries produce sex hormones like estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone. Now, you can see each organ plays a very important role in our hormone function, and although they do have an individual function, they need to work in harmony to create hormone balance. Now, there are many stages of a woman's hormonal life, and at every stage, from puberty to postmenopause, our hormones are in flux to really remain balanced for that particular age and stage. But regardless of whatever life stage you are in, the foundations or pillars of health that help to support healthy hormone balance are the same. Okay, so I have a question for you all. We're not doing the fancy polls tonight, but you can think about this or you can type your answer into the chat box. My question for you is, what are the actual foundations for supporting hormone health? Is it nutrition and a healthy diet? Do we need activity and exercise? Is it stress support? Is it supporting your hormonal health at your particular stage? Or is it all of the above? What a bunch of smarty pants on the call. Yes, absolutely. It is 100% all of the above. And that's what we're going to be covering tonight. So this goes into our foundations of hormone health. Now, just like our home needs a good structure and foundation to support us, our hormone health needs are the same. So the 4 key pillars of hormone health do include nutrition and a healthy diet, stage-specific hormone support, stress support, and exercise. Now, the way that you support your foundation on a day-to-day basis will reflect on how much support you will need in terms of supplementation. Okay, because at the end of the day, you cannot out supplement a bad diet. We always want to focus on the foundation first, and then the supplements come in to provide that strategic relief of symptoms in the moment. But it's not about saying, okay, well, you take this, wonderful formulation, and then you can eat like crap and stress yourself out and not sleep enough, and that's going to be fine. No, no, no. Of course, we need to focus on the foundation first. So first, starting with diet, right? As a nutritionist, this is a conversation that I have on a day-to-day basis. And it's something that even for me, it's really good to have these reminders because I get it. We get caught up in our day-to-day life, supporting children, supporting partners, supporting ourselves, trying to excel at work, yada, yada. It can be really difficult for us to just tune in and really focus and ensure that we are eating well on a regular day-to-day basis, because that's really the key. I'm not saying, totally eradicate all sweets and stay away from coffee. We want to focus on balance for sure, but as much as possible, we really want to be tuning into our diet and ensuring that we are fueling ourselves appropriately. Now, a healthy Mediterranean diet has been shown to reduce the occurrence as well as severity of premenstrual pain and PMS symptoms. So one study showed that a high intake of carbohydrates was associated with premenstrual symptoms like impaired concentration, behavioral change. So essentially, and also water retention. So how we're presenting to the world, how we're feeling in our bodies and our minds. That was typically associated with more of the simple carbohydrates, the more processed type foods. Now, women who eat fruits and vegetables, lean protein, and healthy fats have been shown to have a reduction in symptoms compared to women who eat a highly processed diet. Now, based on the research for supporting hormonal and general health, there's really not one diet that we should all be following. In other words, there's no best diet. It all comes down to consistency. So it's really what we do the majority of the time and really focusing on what we can control that's going to have the biggest impact. Now, cutting out entire food groups is definitely setting you up for long-term failure. For example, if you are someone that's, was told to cut out grains, you may become deficient in important vitamins like B vitamins, which are so important for hormonal health. Now, when it comes to the best diet, it is really important, actually, that we are mindful of our macronutrients like carbs, protein, and fats. Fats should not be demonized. They are so important for hormonal health and overall health. But we're talking about healthy fats like from avocado, nuts, and seeds, and using healthy oils like olive oil is a really, really good one for hormone health. Now, let's just take a look at the image on the screen here a little bit more closely. It is very similar to the Mediterranean diet in the sense that we see many servings of fruits and vegetables, but more vegetables in general. And there are a variety of colors on the plate. We've got the greens, reds, purples, yellows. So by eating a variety of colors, you get a different variety of vitamins, minerals, and nutrients. Now, the carbohydrates on this plate are all whole grains. And what does whole grain mean? Well, it means that the fibers have not been removed and it's not refined. This helps keep you feeling more full and doesn't spike our blood sugar as much as refined grains like white breads and pastas. And then lastly, moving on to protein. So we can see there are different sources of protein. We have eggs, legumes, lentils, tofu, and meat. Making sure you have enough protein is really important, and protein is the source of amino acids, which are building blocks for different components of the body. Protein keeps us feeling full and are needed for our hair, skin, nails, organ regeneration, muscle tissue, enzymes for reactions occurring in the body, and so much more. Now, I know we are, when we go to the grocery store right now, costs are rising and it can be really difficult to buy organic 100% of the time. And to be honest, even as a nutritionist, I more so like to follow the Dirty Dozen Clean 15 than simply focusing on trying to buy organic. I also grow a lot of my own vegetables in the summer, which is great. I'm working on learning how to preserve a little bit more. But as soon as the colder weather hits and we're back in the grocery store getting produce, this is what I'm following. Now, when choosing fruits and vegetables, of course, if we can buy organic, that's wonderful because we are avoiding a lot of pesticides, which, as we know, can really build up in our system, can impact our liver, which can then have a downward impact on how well our hormones are able to regulate. Now, if we cannot buy 100% organic, it is really nice to refer to the Dirty Dozen and the Clean 15. This is by the Environmental Working Group. Now, these lists are a catalog of conventionally grown fruits and vegetables with the highest and lowest amounts of pesticides that are actually still on the produce. Now, the Dirty Dozen has the highest amount of pesticides, so when possible, buy organic for this list, whereas the Clean 15 have the lowest, so it's not as important, but to buy these fruits and vegetables as organic. Now, what I will say is that the Dirty Dozen and Clean 15 typically gets updated every year. So if you're on social media, following the environmental working group is a really easy way to keep tabs on that. You can also join their email list or just check out their website when it is time to do your shopping. Now, food is not the only area of our foundation that we really want to be focusing on. Exercise is also important. Not only does it help with regulating our hormones, it also helps with the production and release of feel-good hormones, right? How good does it feel to come home from a gorgeous walk on a sunny day or finishing off a nice yoga session in the evening? It does so much for our bodies, and it does a lot for our mental health as well. Now, I would love, just for all of us to reflect for a moment, how much exercise do we think we really need? Now, the World Health Organization recommends 150 to 300 minutes of moderate intensity physical activity per week, 2 or more days a week of strength training. And this is really important, especially as we get older, we become more at risk of bone health issues. So strength training can really help with the integrity of our muscles and our bodies and our joints. We want 75 to 150 minutes should be vigorous activity per week. And we just really want to be limiting sedentary activity. Now, I myself am someone who works from home the majority of time. Fortunately, I have a dog that likes to be walked, and I live in a beautiful neighborhood. So I do try to go out for 5 or 6 walks per day, even if they're only 10 minutes in length at a time. It's really nice. My neighbors, when we first moved to this neighborhood, were making fun of me. They're like, "What are you doing all the time going for these walks?" I'm like, "I just need to stretch my legs. I need to move my body." Now, if you have a more active workplace, that's actually in your favor because you're naturally moving throughout the day. So just being able to do these mental shifts, make some space for movement, can be really important. Okay, so next we have stress and hormones. Now, we know that these last 3 years, and especially what was going on in 2020 with the pandemic, we saw a huge uptick in burnout scores and how people were really feeling mentally in their bodies. Now, for a lot of individuals, it's not surprising that most of us feel like there's some days where we're just holding on by that loose thread, and at any given moment, things can just snap and our whole world can be tumbling down. Now, this is something that I always like to remember, and it's that it's not the load that breaks you down, it's the way that you carry it. So this means that, we can't always change the stress that enters our life, but we can do something about how our body responds to it. So of course, there's numerous ways that we can support our stress response. There's things that we can do mentally. There's things that we can do more physiologically. But what we're going to chat about right now is we're going to take a look at how the adrenal glands is really involved with our stress response. Okay, so the stress response is regulated in the adrenal gland. This is that small gland located atop the kidneys. Now, the adrenal glands produce hormones that help control heart rate, blood pressure, the way the body uses food, the level of minerals in the blood, and other functions particularly involved in our stress reactions. The adrenals are the backup hormone system. Now, the moment we believe that we could be in danger, the stress response gets activated and body-wide changes start happening. And this is by stimulating our sympathetic nervous system from our brain. So you might be familiar with the fight or flight response, right? So we're moving from that rest and digest to fight, flight, or freeze. And that's all happening within our nervous system. Now, the degree of stress response alarm is directly proportional to the degree of the perceived threat. Again, this is very personal because what you may find stressful, I may not, and vice versa. So for instance, believing you're only in minor danger will produce a low degree of stress response and resulting in physiological, psychological, and emotional changes, whereas believing you are in grave danger will produce a high degree stress response and its resulting body-wide changes. Also, the degree of stress response will determine the length of recovery after the stress response has ended. For example, a low degree stress response can be recovered from relatively quickly, such as within a few minutes to a few moments. However, a high degree stress response will have a much longer recovery window. And for some people, this stress response stays alert until we are able to move it, shift it, whether it's doing some mindfulness exercises or leaning on some sort of herbals, things to help shift our mental and physical state. So when does stress actually become a problem? Well, it really comes down to that chronic everyday stress. Now, this stress reaction is protective. It is something, especially if something stressful is happening, the body must react quickly in order to protect us. However, over time, this response creates damage to the body. Stress causes our blood pressure to increase, our heart rate and blood sugar levels to spike, and inflammatory factors to be released in the body. All of these actions are risk factors for major disease such as cardiovascular disease and diabetes. When stressed, the body is in a sympathetic state or the fight or flight mode, meaning that the body is not concerned with long-term goals like digestion, immune optimization, or procreation. Therefore, chronic stress can negatively impact digestion, immune function, and lead to health issues such as irritable bowel syndrome, as well as fertility. Now, think about what recent stressors you may have experienced: a recent move, a change in your position at work, daily family stress of getting your kids to their activities, and let's not forget about the pandemic, which was not that long ago. As women, we are experiencing some form of stress in our lives every single day. And eventually, that recovery system doesn't work as efficiently as it should, and we are left feeling high strung and overwhelmed. Now, common stress symptoms do include fatigue, exhaustion, anxiety, insomnia or interrupted sleep, getting sick frequently, shallow breathing. Do you ever catch yourself? You're like, I'm not actually breathing fully. Panic, belly fat and weight gain, carbohydrate cravings, PMS symptoms, menopause symptoms, headaches, muscle tension, upset stomachs, and even more than that. So my next question for you all, and again, you can answer this to yourself or you can type your answer in the chat. It's always nice to see. But what do you do to help manage stress? It's always nice to learn from each other. Do you focus more on exercise, so moving the stress out of your body? Do you like to hang out with friends or family, meditate, or do some yoga, journaling? Is there a hobby that you really enjoy, or is it something else? More sleep. I love that. Yes. Exercising and talking to friends, a lot of A's and B's. So that's great. So focusing on really leaning on our community, building that community can be so helpful as well. Thank you all so much for sharing. So you're right. There are so many different ways that we can be regulating our stress response. Something that I tell a lot of my clients and that I try to remind myself too is that we are a human being. We are human beings, not humans doing. So it's really unrealistic to assume that we can be go, go, go all the time. You know, it's really important that we take the time to take a break and really make time for the things that we love and just bring passion back into our lives. Now, this can look very different for everyone. For some, it can mean having alone time, like sleeping more. For others, it can be, just to take a break to breathe in between the workday. For others, it can be, going on an adventure and trying a new activity that they've always wanted to do. Now, regulating our stress response and looking after our adrenals and thyroid are certainly the first step in overall hormone balance. So with that, let's get into supporting the thyroid. Now, a healthy thyroid is definitely needed to feel your best. The thyroid gland is a butterfly-shaped gland that wraps around the front of your windpipe, and the thyroid gland is responsible for hormones that are vital to functions in the body, including our energy, metabolism, body temperature, and heart rate. Now, thyroid function is influenced by many internal and external factors like stress and hormonal imbalance, and a healthy thyroid is definitely needed to feel good. Now, there are a variety of nutrients that will support your thyroid. In particular, the amino acid tyrosine. This amino acid is essential for normal thyroid function and thyroid hormone production. Excuse me. Now, when we're in a chronic state of stress, your adrenals are in overdrive for extended periods of time, continuously flooding your body with cortisol until your adrenals can no longer keep up with the constant demand for more and more stress hormones, leaving you in a state of adrenal fatigue or adrenal burnout. Now, this flooding and eventual plummeting of stress hormones can have many negative impacts on the thyroid. Now, the brain also has a role in regulating thyroid hormones. And once there is high stress hormones present, thyroid hormone production is slowed down. Now, you can see here all of the symptoms that you can experience between your adrenal glands and thyroid gland. It's really no wonder that women become frustrated when they aren't feeling well, but they just can't figure out why. If you look, many of these symptoms are very vague, like fatigue, muscle aches, headaches, upset stomach, low mood, constipation. It kind of sounds like a normal day for most people. Okay, so with that, we're going to move on to the liver. And don't worry, we're going to be covering all of the solutions with these specific glands like further down in the presentation. I just want to make sure we kind of understand what's actually happening from a biological standpoint. Now, okay, so what else actually impacts our hormonal responses? We know that estrogen and progesterone play a primary role in the health and rhythm of our cycles. From the start of menstruation through to menopause, when we have too much estrogen fluctuation, we experience hormone havoc. Now, this can be seen as PMS symptoms or mood changes, even menopausal hot flashes or generalized fatigue. And this can be due to poor estrogen metabolism by our liver due to these external influences affecting its function. Now, some of these do include poor diet, which could be high in sugar, trans fats, low in protein, poor lifestyle habits like no exercise, stress, genetics, smoking, and heavy alcohol drinking. Now, the liver plays a huge role in estrogen metabolism. It helps to break down and remove excess estrogen when our body doesn't need it. But if our liver is being loaded up with chemicals and toxins from multiple sources, then its function can slow down, causing an imbalance in our hormones and leaving us feeling unwell. Did you know that the average woman uses 12 personal care products each day with 168 unique chemical ingredients? That is a lot of chemicals for our body to have to process. And not only that, but our liver has to process other day-to-day chemicals like pollution from cars, pesticides, aluminum, parabens, and many, many more. So, what can we actually do about all of these toxins? Let's start just with our daily activities. So, as much as possible, if we can limit caffeine, alcohol, and charred meats, choose clean beauty products. So, you can use the Think Dirty app or look up your products through the Environmental Working Group website. Choose organic foods when possible, or follow the Dirty Dozen Clean 15 when you can't. Improved bowel function, as constipation can lead to reabsorption of toxins, and support liver detoxification with liver support nutrients. Okay, so let's talk about the hormones that most people are familiar with, which is estrogen and progesterone. Now, whether we are in our fertility years or have already had children transitioning from perimenopause to menopause, our hormones are consistently changing. There are many reasons why our bodies react the way that they do to our changing hormones. Now, some women find it to be smooth sailing as they transition through the hormonal stages. You know, these women, they don't experience PMS symptoms or get hot flashes or sleep issues, whereas others find it has a major impact on their daily quality of life, with everything from major period cramps to extreme mood changes to low libido. Now you can see here the fluctuations in hormones across the lifespan. It starts in the teen years. Our body is trying to figure out what to do with the hormones that are now being made in higher amounts. It can take time to regulate into that normal cycle of 28 to 35 days. And then during our cycling or reproductive years, everything seems to be regular. The estrogen is stable and the progesterone is cycling as it should. It's predictable. You get your period when you should get your period. And then as we start to transition into perimenopause, things become inconsistent. We have a lot of highs and lows. And it's not only just the decrease in our hormones at this point, but the change in our hormones that's the biggest problem. Okay, so now we're going to focus on ovary health. Now, what is a common symptom during hormonal changes throughout life? Is it fatigue, poor sleep, mood changes, or all of the above? Now, what I see most often in clinical practice is definitely mood changes, but I also see a lot of people selecting all of the above, so fatigue and poor sleep as well. Now, in our menstruating years, it's really our body's job to cycle hormones in a regular manner so that we can feel good, have energy, and regular moods and sleep well. Our body goes through three different stages every month: the follicular, ovulatory, and luteal phase. Then this is all preparing our uterus for fertilization. If it happens, you're pregnant. And when it doesn't happen, the whole cycle starts again. So when you think about that whole process, it's no wonder that so many women experience difficulties with their regular cycles, mainly PMS symptoms, irregular cycles, and moods and poor sleep. Now, during the menstruating years, many women experience a wide range of ailments. Some of these present as emotional and behavioral signs like tension or anxious feelings, low mood, mood swings, appetite changes and food cravings, trouble falling asleep, social withdrawal, poor concentration, changes in libido, and other times more physical in nature. So this could be presented as joint or muscle pain, headaches, fatigue, weight gain, fluid retention, bloating, breast tenderness, and as we all know, the list can go on. Next is that unspoken stage of perimenopause, where women may still be experiencing regular periods, but their hormones are starting to decrease in general. Now, this stage can start 10 to 15 years before they officially hit menopause. Women can start experiencing symptoms of menopause in the late stages of perimenopause due to an increased speed of estrogen dropping. Now, there may be many vague symptoms associated with perimenopause. The areas of concern are typically with breast tenderness, PMS symptoms, low libido, fatigue and stress, irregular periods, vaginal dryness, urine leakage and urgency, skin changes, thyroid changes, and just feeling absolutely overwhelmed. So, poll question for you. Menopause is defined as going how long without a period? So, when does menopause actually begin? Is it after 6 months without a period, 12 months without a period, 18 months, 2 years, or is it right when you start to get symptoms like hot flashes and night sweats? I'll see what the answers are in here. Oh, yeah. Wonderful. A bunch of smarty pants, just like I thought. So yes, it is 12. So 12 months without a period. So essentially, this is when the menopause or postmenopause stage where estrogen and progesterone, these are at their lowest in a woman's life. Now, menopause is defined as a point in time 12 months after a woman's last period and typically occurs between the ages of 49 and 55. But as we all know, this can really differ from person to person. And there are some people that they end up hitting menopause much later in life. Now, menopause and postmenopause bring a wide range of symptoms and feelings with it, including hot flashes and night sweats being the big ones, uh, libido changes, urinary incontinence, and urinary tract infections, and so much more. So with that, with the increase in UTIs, and of course UTIs can happen at any stage in a woman's life, we do tend to see an uptick, especially in our menopausal and postmenopausal women. And as well as bacterial vaginosis. So these are two issues that we see for many individuals, and this is really why there's such a demand for vaginal health support. So supporting vaginal health should really be for every age, but as I mentioned, we do tend to see an uptick in these symptoms later on in life. So I wanted to chat just briefly about probiotics for vaginal health. Now, it's estimated that about 100 trillion microbes are found inside the human body, with many of them, of course, residing in our gut. But there are also more than 50 different types of microbes that live inside your vagina, and a healthy vaginal microbiome is dominated by a particular species called lactobacillus. And it's important that we have a healthy vaginal microbiome because vaginal imbalances can then lead to bacterial vaginosis, yeast infections, and UTIs. So we know that vaginal yeast infections like Candida can affect up to 3 out of 4 women at some point in their lifetime, with many women experiencing multiple episodes. UTIs are very common, occurring in 1 out of 5 women in their lifetime, and 40% of women who get a UTI will get at least one more within 6 months. Now, we do have a great solution with Smart Solutions. We have our vaginal health probiotic. This was just launched actually not too long ago, but you can find it at Healthy Planet. And it's a 1 per day probiotic that provides yeast control, helps support and maintain healthy vaginal flora, and contains cranberry, which has been shown to help prevent UTIs. So this is just an overview on some of the interesting research for the ingredients that we have within this formula. So cranberry, as I mentioned, the consumption has been shown to prevent bacterial adherence to the cells within the vaginal canal. It's also been shown to really reduce the amount of symptoms associated with UTIs. And there's particular probiotic strains, mostly within the lactobacillus family, that have been shown to promote a very healthy vaginal microbiome. So we'll chat more about that in just a moment here. But I wanted to go back. I'm sorry, my screen is bumping all over the place right now. But I wanted to go back to the start, because after discussing all of the glands that are involved in hormone function, and then taking a look at all the factors involved in why our hormones fluctuate, you can see the importance of having a strong foundation rooted in healthy eating, exercise, stress maintenance, and also specific nutrients for hormone support. Now, the way that you support your foundation on a day-to-day basis will reflect how much support you will need in terms of supplementation. Now, if you eat a clean diet, you try and limit exposure to toxins, and practice daily stress relieving techniques, you may not need a high amount of added nutrients or herbals to support your body's hormone balancing action. However, if all of these things aren't perfect, like so many of us, we don't expect it to be perfect, then most likely we can use a little extra support. And that's why I'm guessing you are all here tonight. So let's actually get into some hormone support, because we all want to be armed with solutions to these important health challenges and to really help us achieve that optimal hormone health and wellness. So I've given you some tips on diet, food, exercise, but now it's time to get into the nitty-gritty of what supplements will be best to support your body through hormone fluctuations, transitions, and everyday use. So let's start with herbals. So there's a few key herbals that I really want to highlight here, because the strategies to help your body transition through different hormonal stages can certainly include specific, herbal formulas, which have been shown to really drastically help balance our body and just bring our body back into feeling good. So, certain herbals have been shown to support the liver for improved detoxification. For example, a nutrient like indole-3-carbinol or DIM, both of these are found from cruciferous vegetables. They actually have been shown to help break down estrogens into non-toxic forms and just overall support liver health. We see sage leaf has been shown to really help reduce the intensity and frequency of hot flashes for those that have been experiencing hot flashes for more than 8 weeks. Black cohosh has been shown to be helpful in also vasomotor symptoms like hot flashes. And chaste tree, otherwise known as vitex, is one of my favorite herbs to use for women's health. This is a well-researched herb that has been shown to be useful in the support of menstrual irregularities, PMS, for example, and also help to relieve symptoms associated with menopause, like those dreaded hot flashes. Rhodiola and ashwagandha. These two are definitely powerhouses for that individual who's been through a lot of stress. Perhaps they're, further along in their burnout journey. Rhodiola has been shown to reduce the effects of stress on the body and the nervous system, and ashwagandha has been shown to help reduce the symptoms of stress like fatigue, sleeplessness, irritability, and an inability to concentrate. So a little bit about Smart Solutions before we review the supplement formulas. If you are new to our brand, which I'm sure many of you have probably used our products for quite a while, but for over 10 years, we have been a group of women helping women to lead, educate, and empower all women to really just reach their optimal wellness. We were founded by a women's health expert, and this line of natural supplements provides effective solutions to common health concerns, including hormone imbalance, nutrient deficiencies, weight management, sleep issues, stress, and more. To women globally, Smart Solutions is the natural and effective line of women's health supplements specifically designed to solve for the unique health needs. From sourcing ingredients to research to formulation, you'll find a team of expert women at every touch point. Now, all our formulations are supported by clinically validated research and are created with the most effective ingredients available and the cleanest sources and processing practices. Now, really, our vision is a world where women's health and wellness is a priority. Our mission is to inspire women to take ownership of their own health and wellness and empower them to share in their journeys, leveraging natural solutions, education, and leadership. So, that's really why we're here today. And this is something that we are really strongly rooted in. And what you'll notice is that our formulas support every stage of life, meaning that we're here to support women no matter where they are in their journey. So starting with Estrosmart. So Estrosmart is a formula that I've used personally. When I was a very new nutritionist and going on 7+ years ago, I came across this formula. I came across Lorna Vanderhey, who was the original formulator behind Smart Solutions, and just fell in love with this formula. So this does combine a combination of herbals like the ashwagandha and rhodiola, and it has been designed specifically for that individual that's been going through a high time of stress. So for university students, I've recommended this for people that are going through exam season and they're juggling a lot right now. For new parents that are sleepless nights and going through that transition, and then also for older individuals who have just been supporting everyone else around them and now they need to be focusing on themselves. So the key Health Canada approved claims for this product are that it has been shown to help support mental focus and mental stamina, because when we are under that gun, when we're really under that stress, it can be hard for our brains to really focus on certain tasks. We can feel a lot of brain fog and just not being able to think things through or clearly as well as we used to. It's been shown to help relieve symptoms of mental fatigue related to stress, support cognitive function, physical stamina, so actually put a bit of pep back in our step, and to temporarily relieve symptoms of stress. Now, the suggested use for adults would be to take 2 capsules with breakfast and dinner, or of course, as directed by your healthcare practitioner. For some people, you may be taking a Thyrosmart, and that is completely okay. These 2 products are actually great to take together. And in that case, you would just take 2 capsules daily with food. So Thyrosmart, who is Thyrosmart for? So Thyrosmart is certainly for that individual. If we go back to that one slide where I listed the symptoms associated with thyroid issues and adrenal issues, if you are, feeling a lot of those thyroid dysfunction, so slower metabolism, temperature dysregulation is kind of happening all the time, you're feeling really fatigued, all of these issues can be related back to an underfunctioning thyroid. So leaning on something like this, which has tyrosine, which is that amino acid that I chatted about earlier on, as well as a combination of herbals to help support the thyroid gland, helps to support your overall body system. This is a really good one to include. So the key Health Canada approved benefits are that it has been shown to help the body to metabolize carbohydrates, fats, and proteins. It's been shown to help maintain normal production of thyroid hormones, normal function of the thyroid gland. It is a source of antioxidants for the maintenance of good health. It helps to produce and repair connective tissue and helps to prevent pantothenic acid deficiency. So the suggested use would be 2 capsules with breakfast, or of course, as directed by your healthcare practitioner. Next, we have, let me just flip down here, Estrosmart. So Estrosmart is really our daily balancing support. And, I've been an educator for Smart Solutions for going on 4.5 years now, which is wild to me. But I remember back in my early days, I would come across pharmacists and, different healthcare practitioners. But I remember this one group of pharmacists, they were women out in Surrey, BC, and they have been taking Estrosmart essentially since the product launched. So again, at that point, it was for 6 years now. There was times where they would go off of it, but all of them, they were certainly approaching the perimenopause stage of life. Some of them were already in the menopause stage of life, and they just swore by it for helping to prevent PMS symptoms, to helping with regulating their cycles, and to just feel better physically. So this one would definitely be for someone that does experience regular PMS, that just, has those symptoms arise and they just, nothing really seems to be working for them. That's really where Estrosmart comes into play. The Health Canada approved benefits are that it does help to maintain that healthy estrogen to progesterone balance. It supports healthy estrogen metabolism and metabolite ratio. It supports our liver detoxification pathway. Because if we think back to that liver section of the presentation, if our liver is not functioning properly, if it's not functioning efficiently, this can create a whole slew of hormonal imbalance symptoms. It's also been shown to reduce the duration and severity of breast pain and is a great source of antioxidants. So certainly this would be great for someone who's experiencing hormonal imbalances and for those that may be needing a little bit of liver detoxification support, which is most of us in today's day and age. So the suggested use for Estrosmart would be to take 2 to 4 capsules daily with food or as directed by your healthcare practitioner. Next, we have CycleSmart. So if you've been a fan of Smart Solutions for a while, you might be familiar with Estrosmart Plus, which was essentially the Estrosmart formula plus extra chaste tree berry and zinc. Now we've renamed it over the last few years to CycleSmart because it just makes a little bit more sense for all of us who are coming off the street into the health food store to really think about, what does this product do for me? So this is really for that person that's experiencing period problems, including menstrual cycle irregularities, and if they suffer from PMS symptoms. So it provides a lot of the same support as Estrosmart, but a little bit extra. This is really for that person that has irregular cycles, and just like they're not able to get that into that 28 to 35 day range, and that was me for a while there, especially during like peak stress times in my life. So using something like CycleSmart has actually helped bring my cycles back into a regular rhythm. So especially for women that for so many reasons, right, we want to make sure our cycles are regular, but certainly as we are starting to approach the fertility journey, that's a really important aspect to focus in on. So as I mentioned, CycleSmart has the same base ingredients as Estrosmart, but then we've added in chaste tree berry, otherwise known as Vitex. This is a well-researched herb that has been shown to be useful in the support of menstrual irregularities and PMS, as well as extra zinc. Now, evidence suggests that PMS sufferers are more likely to have low zinc status, and zinc can help with those PMS symptoms. And then moving on to MenoSmart Plus. So MenoSmart Plus has a great combination of herbals, really helping to reduce symptoms like hot flashes and hot flushes. Essentially, the key benefits are that it has been shown to help relieve symptoms associated with menopause, help to relieve muscle and joint pain associated with rheumatic conditions, which can often flare up during this stage of life. We're thinking rheumatoid arthritis, osteoarthritis, and fibritis. It has been also shown to help ease nervous tension and help stabilize menstrual cycle irregularity. So this is something that someone could certainly start taking during the perimenopause stage, menopause, or postmenopause if they are still experiencing hot flashes, and other symptoms associated with menopause. So this one is a combination of black cohosh, sage leaf, chaste tree berry, as well as gamma arazinol. So the suggested use for adults would be 2 capsules at breakfast and bedtime, or as directed by a healthcare practitioner. And then lastly, I just wanted to touch on the vaginal health probiotic. So as mentioned, there are a lot of individuals that can benefit from supporting vaginal microbiome. And so, this would definitely be for someone that has experienced recurring UTIs or recurring vaginosis and just issues with vaginal health in general. This is an oral probiotic. So you take it like any other probiotic. You take 1 capsule daily by mouth, and you want to take at least 2 to 3 hours before or after the use of antibiotics. And you want to be using this for at least 4 weeks to see beneficial results. But a lot of great benefits associated with this particular probiotic, from helping to restore and maintain healthy vaginal flora, reduce yeast and bacteria on vaginal surfaces to maintain vaginal health, and has been used in herbal medicine to prevent urinary tract infections. This is more of the benefits as well as cautions. So there are some instances where we wouldn't be recommending the vaginal health probiotic. Essentially, if someone, we want to be consulting a healthcare practitioner prior to use, if you have a fever, vomiting, or if you have any serious health condition, of course. And then you want to be stopping the use and consult a healthcare practitioner if your symptoms of digestive upset occur or worsen or persist beyond 3 days. But again, the main reason for taking this would be for recurrent UTIs, bacterial vaginosis, and vaginal microflora imbalances. And there is just our overview slide. So let's get into our hormone toolkit across the life stages, starting with our menstruating years. So with our menstruating years, key symptoms that we hear about: stress, high stress and burnout, irregular periods, PMS, and thyroid support. So depending on the individual, I would certainly be starting with something like Estrosmart if they are feeling a lot of stress at this time in their life. If they have a lot of check marks in the thyroid section, that could be something that they could pair with Estrosmart. And then depending on their cycle, if they're experiencing PMS but a regular cycle, they could take Estrosmart. If they're experiencing extreme PMS and irregular cycles, then I would be recommending Smart. For perimenopause years, quite similar types of solutions available, but this is when we might introduce something like Smart Plus, especially if the individual is already starting to experience hot flashes. And then for menopause and post-menopause, that's really where we want our stress support in the form of Estrosmart, thyroid support from Thyrosmart, and then menopause symptom support, whether that be Smart Plus or Estrosmart. We do have, of course, a host of other support formulas. We don't have time to go over all of that today, but if you go to healthyplanetcanada.ca, we actually have 20% off all of our Smart Solutions line. So you can try out some products, see how they fare for you. It's always wonderful to hear the feedback, and we've had so many wonderful testimonials over the past decade plus. So the most important thing that we want to be taking away from tonight is to really determine where we are in our hormone journey. And when we figure out where we are in our hormone journey, where we are in our life stage, what symptoms are actually occurring for us on a regular basis, it can be a lot easier to pinpoint where we need to be finding that support. So with that, I will say at 7:53 p.m., thank you so much for joining us tonight. I will check the chat to see if there are any remaining questions, but I know Philza has been a whiz, and thank you so much, Philza, for being on the call and answering so many questions for us. We would love to stay connected with you. So you can find us at Smart Solutions CA on social media, as well as on Facebook. And with that, I will look at our questions. So let me pull this up here. If you do need to hop off, I will say thank you so much for tuning in. We really appreciate connecting with you all in this way, and I hope you have a wonderful evening. All right. So I see one question here from Marie about what if you are taking birth control? Now, I am thinking that this question must be associated with either taking Estrosmart or Cyclesmart. And of course, if you're on any pharmaceutical support, we always want to say speak to your pharmacist or speak to your healthcare provider first. With that said, there have been quite a few cases where women have been taking birth control as well as Estrosmart or Cyclesmart and doing that in combination. I've had clients do this, and so it's not something that's been unheard of. But as always, we need to say speak to your healthcare practitioner first and just make sure there's no contraindications because there's so many different types of birth control that are out there. Perfect. Yes, yes. So this is being recorded, and I believe Healthy Planet will typically send it out tomorrow, the recording. Yes, yes. So the Healthy Planet sale is 20% off. So you can go to the Healthy Planet website and then peruse our smart solutions for you, and pick the one that best resonates with you based on your symptoms. Wonderful. You're welcome. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you all. And thank you so much, Filza. It does look like so many of these have been answered. Really, really appreciate your support. Wonderful. Michelle, I'm not sure what day the sale is on until. We were told that it is on tonight. I believe usually these things are 24 hours at least. But I would say if you know what you need, I would add it to your basket now. Yeah, wonderful. Yes, so for a lot of these products, you can take them together. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. So some of the more common ones would certainly be Adrenosmart, Thyrosmart, and Cyclesmart, or Menosmart, or the Estrosmart. So the Cyclesmart, the Estrosmart, and the Menosmart, typically you would pick one of these. There are some cases where you might be using Menosmart and Estrosmart together. Oh, that's a great testimonial. You've been using Menosmart for 20 years and it's helped greatly with perimenopause and menopause symptoms. We love to hear that. So when you're working with your healthcare practitioner, whether it be your naturopathic doctor, your general practitioner, or your pharmacist, they will actually be able to look up the specific herbals that are in our formulas. They're always on the back side of the label when you get the bottle, and they'll be able to see with your specific health condition, with your specific pharmaceuticals that you may be on, if there's any contraindications. Unfortunately, we don't have time to go through everyone's medication list tonight, but that is always the best course of action. And pharmacists are becoming more and more well equipped. We've been doing a lot of trainings with pharmacists lately, so they're becoming very, very well aware of what our products are and how they can be supporting all of you. Oh, thank you so much, Jill, for the clarification. So the sale is on for just this evening. Wonderful. Yes, you can. You can take Menosmart and Estrosmart together. Yes. Mhm. All right. So with that, we are very close to 8 p.m. So I will say, have a wonderful evening. Thank you again for joining us. It's always so nice to be with the Healthy Planet family. We really appreciate all of you and have a great night. Take care. Bye bye.